Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to build a Hackintosh computer. I'll go over how to pick the right hardware, how to get OS X successfully installed, and afterwards I'll show you how to manage your Hackintosh system for better reliability and performance. So the first thing you'll want to do is visit TonyMacX86.com and get familiar with the Hackintosh community. This is where you'll go to get all the essential downloads you'll need to get OS X working on your PC hardware correctly. And you can also check out their DSDT database. If your motherboard is listed here, you can download a master patch file making OS X compatible with your motherboard almost effortlessly. Finally, make sure to check out their forums. This is a great place to find out if the hardware you've chosen has seen good success among the Hackintosh community. So here's the hardware I'll be using for my Hackintosh computer. I chose this unlocked Core i5 processor, and I'll be using it with this modest CPU cooler. I plan to do some overclocking. I went with this Gigabyte motherboard with the Z68 chipset because it's fully supported by the Hackintosh community. And additionally, users in the forum reported good success with this particular board. I chose this ATI video card because it's natively supported under OS X Lion. That means I don't have to use any patches or hacks to get it working. I'll be using generic desktop RAM. Fortunately, this stuff is much cheaper than notebook memory. And I'll be using 3 hard drives, one for OS X, another for its backup, and one more for Windows 7. It's a good idea to have these on physically different drives. For the initial install, I'll be using a Samsung DVD drive, but you could also use a properly formatted USB thumbstick. And during the install, I'll need to use this wired keyboard. And I'll also be using a wired mouse. After OS X is up and running, I can use this Bluetooth dongle to connect my wireless devices. And lastly, I'll be powering my system with this Antec power supply. I don't really like Antec, but it was on sale. So here's my system fully assembled. As you can tell, it's not in a case yet. When you're connecting your storage devices, you'll need to use the Intel SATA ports on your motherboard. Non-Intel SATA controllers aren't compatible with OS X, so make sure to check your motherboard's manual if you have any doubts. So this is how you start your machine up in the ghetto. First, you'll want to get into BIOS by holding down the delete key. Once in BIOS, you'll need to change the SATA control mode from IDE to AHCI. This is the only way that OS X can interact with your storage devices. While in BIOS, you may also want to disable any onboard features that you don't plan on using. In my case, I've disabled FireWire, eSATA, and USB 3.0. Unfortunately, my USB 3.0 controller isn't supported under OS X. So let's begin the installation. First, you'll need to boot off of your iBoot disk. You can get iBoot from the TonyMacX86 website. And make sure to have your system boot off of the DVD drive. You'll know if it's working if you see the Chimera bootloader screen. Right now, it simply shows that the iBoot disk is in the DVD drive, so you'll need to pop it out and replace it with your retail copy of OS X Snow Leopard. Hit F5 on your keyboard to refresh the screen, and the bootloader should now show the OS X installation DVD. Type in -V, then hit Enter to start the installation in verbose mode. This mode is helpful if you need to troubleshoot any issues with starting the installation. If everything goes well, you should be able to select your hard disk as the installation drive. On my system, the installation takes around 15 minutes. After the installation is complete, the machine will automatically reboot, but you won't be able to load OS X just yet. You'll need to swap in the iBoot disk once more and boot off of it again. Now you should see your hard disk listed in the bootloader menu. Use the arrow key to select the drive and hit Enter. With any luck, OS X will start and you'll be able to finalize the installation. Next, you'll need to copy over combo updates for Snow Leopard and a couple Hackintosh applications to get everything patched and working correctly. You'll first want to install combo update 10.6.7, but don't hit the restart button after it finishes. Next, you'll need to run Bridge Helper to patch OS X for your Sandy Bridge processor. And after that's complete, find your motherboard's DSDT file and copy it to your desktop. You'll need it there because that's where Multibeast will look for it. So next, open MultiBeast and don't be scared if it crashes the first time you open it. It's a known software bug. Checkbox User DSDT and System Utilities. Then look for drivers to enable certain hardware features like your onboard Ethernet and audio. And don't worry if you forget to install certain features. You can always run MultiBeast again at a later date. So I'm going to take the time to disconnect my DVD drive since I don't really need it anymore. And this is actually a good test to see if my hard disk is now bootable. And as you can see, Snow Leopard boots just fine. And it's been upgraded to 10.6.7. So I'm going to take the time to do an extra step here and install the graphic drivers for my video card. Because up until now I was using the integrated Sandy Bridge graphics for the install process. But I want to make sure that my video card works fine before moving on to anything else. So it appears that my video card works great, and I'll continue the installation by upgrading to Snow Leopard 10.6.8. This update is necessary if you want to install OS X Lion. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little because installing OS X Lion is actually very easy. You can find all the instructions at TonyMac x86. Most people have had no issues with the upgrade. So now that I have Lion installed, I'm just going to check out System Profiler to confirm that my hardware is all being properly recognized. And it looks like my display, video card, SATA ports, USB ports, and all my memory is all listed correctly. So I've jumped ahead a little and I've just installed the first update to OS X Lion. It seemingly worked fine, but it actually disabled my audio device driver. This is a common occurrence when installing updates to OS X, but can be easily fixed by running MultiBeast again and installing the audio rollback drivers. So here I am after a quick reboot, and you can see that my audio is restored. So now that my system is fully updated and patched, I'll want to make a clone of my drive for a backup copy. Now I'll be using Carbon Copy Cloner, which is a free download. And I'm going to set the program up so that in the future, it will only copy new or modified files to the backup drive. This way, it doesn't have to copy the entire contents of my hard drive every time I want to make a backup. Now, one important thing to keep in mind, this backup drive will not be bootable until you load up OS X on it and run MultiBeast again. This is basically the same procedure that we did with a primary drive. So with everything backed up, I'm now going to overclock my CPU. This is really simple with an unlocked chip, and you only need to change one value in BIOS. So back in OS X, I'm going to run Geekbench to confirm the overclock, as System Profiler actually won't show any changes to the CPU clock speed. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm using a cheap Bluetooth dongle to get my wireless keyboard and mouse connected. Fortunately, the dongle works fine without any drivers or patches. So here it is, my budget Hackintosh system running stable and fast. Performance-wise, it's close to that of a Mac Pro, and yet it costs me about as much as a Mac Mini. Not bad. So regarding the IGP graphics, if for any reason I don't want to use my video card, let's say I'm building a home theater PC, I can just use the video ports on my motherboard. But to unlock the higher resolution modes, I'll need to install some patches because the integrated graphics by default are limited to a low resolution output. You can find more information about this on the TonyMac website. Anyway, I hope you found this tutorial useful. Thanks for checking it out.